It's kind of wild. Saunas are what are called exercise mimetics. So what they do is they essentially mimic exercise when you are in a sauna. That's great, but now there are sauna mimickers. Now, I can't really say with wholeheartedness that this is going to replace going in a sauna. There's obviously a lot of things that happen in a sauna. The increase in body heat, the increase in vasodilation, all these things, the increase in heart rate. You're not going to get that from what I'm about to talk about, but you are going to get some of the cellular adaptation that occurs. And this is quite fascinating. So let's go ahead and dive into what you can eat to either enhance your sauna, possibly increase the effects of your sauna usage, or get a little bit of the cellular effect. I put a link down below for 30% off through Thrive Market. If you're a human, you probably grocery shop, and Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store. So whatever kind of diet you're doing, they have something for you. They specialize in not having processed garbage, not having poor ingredients. Like, they're all about better for you options. So keto, paleo, whatever, different categories, easy to sort. That's one of the best things. It's easy to sort by different diet type and all this, or sugar-free, whatever. And that link down below gets you 30% off your entire grocery order. So whatever you want to try to shop for on that first order, 30% off, plus a free $50 gift. And the best part is you don't have to see Marty at the grocery store. You get to just order your stuff and it gets to your doorstep. So the vegetable that I'm talking about that has this power is asparagus. You're probably clicking off the video right now. You heard it. But I have some news for you because there's different ways that you can use it to get the effects. So let's kind of talk about the research first and then how to use it and possibly even a shortcut that might be available. So this study that we're talking about took a look at subjects that consumed asparagus powder. And it was humans. This is what's great. So they consumed 24 grams of asparagus powder, which is essentially just concentrated asparagus. Everything you would get from asparagus without the fiber, okay? So you're just getting the straight up phytonutrients and the components of asparagus seed and all of this. They found very interesting stuff. They found that it improved sleep onset. So it improved how quickly they fell asleep from 50 minutes down to 25 minutes. What does sleep have to do with a sauna? Like, what are we talking about here? Well, researchers were like, well, something's going on here. It's helping people relax. Like, what's up? So with that, we look at another study that was published in the Journal in Food Science, and this looked at rodents and humans, and it found that asparagus had an impact on what is called heat shock protein 70. So it increased heat shock protein expression, which means that at a genetic level, it increased the mRNA and the HSP70 expression. So basically, at a very high up level in the DNA blueprint, it triggered this response to create more heat shock protein 70. Heat shock protein 70 is what is called a chaperoning protein. And what a chaperoning protein does is it helps, well, for lack of a better term, chaperone other proteins and chaperone components of cells to ultimately be built properly when cells are going through their protein folding and unfolding, which is something that happens all the time. In essence, it protects cells and makes sure that they are built with integrity. But what does this have to do with sleep, and why is it a sauna mimetic? Well, when you go in a sauna, you increase heat shock protein. That's one of the main things that Dr. Rhonda Patrick talks about, that a lot of these researchers in the sauna world talk about. Heat shock proteins allow us to adapt to stressors. So is asparagus making us adapt to stressors? Maybe not as much as a sauna is, but what we're starting to elucidate from this is that perhaps these heat shock proteins impact the hypothalamus and the pituitary to suppress cortisol levels. If you've ever gone in a sauna before, you actually feel very lower stress. You feel relaxed when you get out. And some of it is the vasodilation, some of it is the contrast in blood pressure, some of it is the contrast in heart rate. Certainly different things happening there. But the heat shock proteins might have a direct impact sort of cerebrally. So what does this mean for you? How do you implement asparagus into your life with this? For one, if you can find asparagus powder on Amazon or whatever, I have no fiduciary obligation to talk about you buying asparagus powder. It just sounds interesting. It got me looking. I found a couple sources for it. So I think asparagus powder might be the way to go, so you're not having to just munch on stalks of asparagus. There's a company called Poshy. Again, no correlation with them. I know they carry them on Thrive Market, but they carry them other places too. In fact, I think Poshy actually has stuff at Costco too. They make marinated asparagus packets, so you can have little packets of asparagus that you carry with you. That could be an interesting way. But what I would suggest is it looks as though taking asparagus powder around the same time each day in a consistent fashion is what does this. So it's not like you can have some asparagus today and skip the sauna. It's more like, hey, I'm going to have asparagus a little bit every day, but having fresh asparagus is something that's really difficult to do every day. The good news is with asparagus is one of the veggies that's on the Clean 15, so it's one that you don't really have to get organic. It's not going to hurt you. Either way, it's not going to hurt you if you probably had organic or non-organic anything in moderation, but regular asparagus is totally fine. It's very, very safe as far as non-organic goes, so you can get the cheaper kind. So if you just have a little bit of asparagus every day, or get some asparagus powder to implement throughout the course of the day, it might be very powerful. Now, if I had to make a sort of speculation, I would recommend eating like asparagus a couple hours before you would sauna, because the impact seems to be relatively quick with the heat shock proteins and its effect on the brain. So if we can increase the expression of heat shock proteins prior to going to a sauna, then maybe we can act upon those heat shock proteins in the sauna better. So I would say asparagus before the sauna.
Do a 7-year montage of promising asparagus.
But again, full disclaimer, that is quite a reach and quite a speculation, and there's no scientific fact behind the timing there. I'm really pulling kind of pieces from studies to sort of help you biohack a little bit more. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.